All right, so we're on the record in the matter of Robert John Kentos versus Middlesex County Democratic Organization, Kevin McCabe, John Doe's 1 through 3. Docket number MID L6331-23. Counsel, let me have your appearances, please.
Good afternoon, Judge. Rob Kentos on behalf of myself today.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. William W. Northgrave with Bannerman, Scotland and Bauman on behalf of the defendants, Kevin McCabe and the Middlesex County Democratic Organization.
All right, thank you. I'm sorry, Mr. Kentos, that you are proceeding pro se. Use the word counsel just routinely, so you're your own counsel, so I'll start there.
Understood.
I read all your filings concerning your verified complaints that I issued to show cause. Mr. Kentos, I'll start with you to see if there's anything that you want to add to what you've already submitted.
Yeah, I just want to add this. Defendants say the general election is 2 years away. That's true. But the candidate selection for the official party endorsements for the primary is 1 year away. So when you look at this from a harmfulness perspective, the candidate selection starts now. In other words, you have to campaign all year long in front of the county committee people and hope to make it to the convention where you'd be selected for the official party endorsement. Depending if you're a county candidate or a municipal candidate, depending upon which governing body of the Democratic Party in this case, same for any political party, but in this case it's the Democratic Party, you would make it to the candidate convention, and the county committee people who are a respective sub-body or a subset of the people who are in your municipality or in your legislative district, or if they're in the county, of course everybody votes. So in other words, I'm campaigning in front of the county committee people in Edison Township, geographically located in Edison Township. So I have a year to campaign in front of them, about a handful of meetings where the public's allowed to go there and talk to them, try and get their support so that they could vote me in February or March or next year. So I just wanted to highlight that part of it because, yes, the general election is 2 years away, but campaigning starts now. There's a limited amount of meetings, so I just wanted to address that.
All right, Mr. Kentos, I want to make sure that wasn't there a primary election already had, or at least a meeting with the Edison Democratic Party where you got enough votes to be one of the 3 candidates?
Yes, 1 of 4 candidates.
1 of 4 candidates?
Correct.
All right, so that's just to see if you get on the list to be on the primary next year, right?
Correct.
Okay. All right. Next year or this year? Isn't it?
No,
It's decided this year?
25.
25. This would be for the primary 25. I ran in the primary 23. That's what caused this contention.
All right, I'll come back to you. So what grade?
Judge, we'll largely rely on our papers unless there's any question you have. I will just respond briefly to Mr. Kentos' comment a moment ago. To be clear, he will be on the ballot if he has enough signatures. That's not the issue. No one's preventing him from getting on the ballot. It is whether or not he is going to be eligible for the MCDO endorsement. But before that, we need to figure out, is he going to be a candidate for the purposes of just for this argument only, whether he would get the EDO endorsement and whether he would seek and or get the MCDO endorsement. So those are all speculative issues, asking this court for an advisory opinion 2 years out from the general election and a year and a half out from the primary election. But other than that, unless the court has specific questions for me as to our pleadings, I'm going to rely on our pleadings, Your Honor.
Well, Mr. Kent, you have a seat. You all can be seated while we talk.
Oh, thank you.
Mr. Kentos, you, in your verified complaint, and again, I'm sorry, I had read it as you had already gone through this process once before.
I have, so
and listed as one of the successful candidates by way of vote at a Democratic committee. And then you were replaced by Mr. McCabe as chairperson by 3 other people because
no reason.
I guess at the request of the mayor,
That's the
the
only.
present mayor of Edison, who indicated that he was not going to respect the vote of the Edison Democratic Committee, so he made a recommendation to Mr. McCabe, Chairman McCabe, and you got replaced. Or at least two other people were listed. Is that part of this process now that's happening?
Yes, that it's part of the same process. I disagree with defendants here. They're pushing this as a Edison Democratic Organization or MCDO organization endorsement. Those are the namesakes for the municipal political party committee and the county committee party. We're all part of the Democratic Party. So it's one official endorsement. It's not an EDO or an MCDO endorsement.
Well, let me ask this question, because I was reading through all your paperwork, and more particularly the Middlesex County Democratic Organization Constitution and Bylaws. I didn't see anything in there that would suggest that one of the responsibilities of the county chairperson was to essentially endorse for office those who win primaries at the municipal level.
Correct.
The Constitution and the bylaws specifically talk about just, for example, U.S. representative, state senator, assemblyman, or assemblyperson, freeholder, sheriff, county clerk, and surveyor. There's nothing to indicate in either that they have any involvement in the municipal election process. First, let me ask you, am I wrong in that? How I read this? Officially, nothing in writing that says they have any involvement, the chairperson has any involvement in the municipal election process. So
Agreed.
Yes, Judge.
Okay.
I'll clear, I think there's an issue there, I'll clarify, but I'll let the court.
And what's pretty clear is the Constitution and, sorry, I'm looking at a message. The Constitution, for certain, and the bylaws, I guess by inference, indicate that whoever wins the primary for those offices that I had cited, it would be getting the endorsement of the county, on the county line, for lack of a better saying. That's written in there. I don't see anything with regards to their involvement in the municipal election. So it leads me to ask, where does the authority come from, other than pattern of past practice for a county chairman to give or include somebody from the municipality on the county line?
If I may, Judge?
All right, let me start with you.
Okay. So the political parties, like the Democratic Party, are established to NJSA 1912-1.
Oh,
So
no, I read all of that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So what happens is, by virtue of their own name, for instance, you have the State Committee Party, which is the governing body for the Democratic Party of the state.
So let me ask that, is there anything, because I didn't get anything with regards to their bylaws. Is there anything
I
in their
included them.
bylaws that say, if the municipal party elects candidates, the county party has to accept them and put them on the line? Or we as the state will accept them and put them on whatever line it is for that county? Is there anything that they say that, any language to that effect?
No, that's the misconception with regards to calling it the county line versus the party line, because what happens is, all these committees, they operate through the county committee. We operate through the county committee. In other words, one of the catches here is, you just can't have any member to the EDO. In other words, our organization, the EDO,
Right.
is made up of county committee people who are
Right.
geographically located.
Right.
And just in
They
further,
wear two hats, basically.
they're dual party office
Okay,
holders.
But when they're voting in the Edison Democratic primary, as far as Edison Democratic Party goes, I'm assuming that they're voting as Edison Democratic committeemen only, and not as county committeemen on behalf of the county. Am I misunderstanding that?
No, you're not. I'll agree with that.
Okay.
But what they're voting for is what's pretty much at issue here. What they're voting for is the endorsement of the Democratic Party, not the...
By the Edison Democratic Party.
They're voting for the Democrat, so in the state of New Jersey, you can only have one endorsement per office per seat. So if there's 4 seats, the Democratic political party as a whole, pursuant to the statute, I think it's NJ 1912-6, basically in Edison Township, there were 4 council seats open. So you can only have 4 Democratic Party, official Democratic Party endorsements for those. You can't have 6, we're not a ranking, correct, we're not a ranking state, so you can't have 6 people on the official party line. What happens is just by virtue of the names of the committees, you know, you have the county committee who's endorsing county candidates, you have the municipal political committee who's endorsing the municipal candidates. The way everybody gets on the ballot is through the county, because by operation of how ballots work in the state.
Well, the way everybody gets on the county ballot, by operation of what's ready, is by county primaries, county election process, etc., where, and only with regards to those 5 offices that I listed, because they obligated themselves by way of the Constitution or their bylaws to provide those endorsements. There's nothing in here that says that same holds true for municipal elections, municipal primaries. But Mr. Northgate, let me turn to you. What say you on this issue?
You're absolutely right, Your Honor. The issue is there's, and I appreciate that Mr. Kentos is not a lawyer, but there is a clear distinction in the statute and in the case law that says these are 3 separate and distinct organizations. The EDO cannot come to the MCDO and say, we insist you do this. The MCDO can't go to the state and say, we insist you do this. The New Jersey Democratic State Committee has their laws, has their issues. MCDO has its laws and its issues, and EDO has its. So what Mr. Kentos received was an endorsement from the EDO. He did not receive an endorsement from the MCDO. And while I will concede that is oftentimes the endorsement from the local organization will be accepted by the county organization and endorsed, that is not always the case, and it was not the case here. And I will give you an example of that, Your Honor. The reason for that is you have an organization that, for whatever reason, the county organization does not agree with the direction they're going in. And I will, while I'm certainly not using it as evidence here, Mr. Kentos talks about the lawsuit that was filed a few years ago trying to get them to just hold the meeting. That case was about forcing them to follow their own bylaws. Getting back to your question, there's nothing here that says we need to accept the endorsement. We, meaning MCDO, needs to accept the endorsement of the EDO. And in fact, the statute and the cases I've cited say that it is in fact they're 2 separate organizations. MCDO has its slogan, has its organization. EDO has its slogan, its organization. Mr. Kentos received the endorsement from the EDO in 2023, and he could have used that slogan had he wanted to. But he wanted to appear on the bracket with the MCDO, and the MCDO refused to accept the endorsement of the EDO. It's as simple as that, and there is nothing further that he can do, and he's asking you to, and I cited the Deemer case about, dive into the intra-party affairs, which, the courts have discouraged.
Mr. Northway, why is the MCDO, and I'm going to use that Middlesex, why are they even involved at all? What is the authority for them to be even involved at all?
They're not.
In granting somebody from a municipal Democratic Party an opportunity to be on a county line with the county slogan?
If a candidate, basically the idea behind the line, if you will, is that you've got...
I understand. I'm very familiar with...
I know you are, Judge. And I'm sorry, I don't mean to be telling the court something you already know. It's just easier if you could just... I need to explain it
Sure.
so that I can explain where the role comes in. So the organization stands for a set of principles. And those set of principles, while they start in the middle, which is the county, I refer to it as the hub.
Right.
The county hub is the county-wide candidates. And then people up and down the ballot can bracket, as allowed under the statute 1949-2, I believe, allows other candidates to bracket with. But that decision is in the province of the Middlesex County Democratic Organization, except for those offices specifically called out in the Constitution, which says that we will, the county committee as a whole, or the county committee, at least the relevant county committee in the congressional districts, I think 6 and 12 are in Middlesex, and then you have 4 or 5 different legislative districts. The county committee, the relevant county committee will vote on those folks, who gets the line, if you will. The balance of it, U.S. Senate, governor, president, local municipal office, is a decision of the organization, and it's vested in the chairman, in the bylaws. So we don't have an involvement. We wouldn't go to Edison and say, here's who you should endorse. But conversely, Edison can't come to us and say, here's who you have to put on our line.
And that's my question, the flip. Where does Chairman McCabe, as chairman of the MCDO, on behalf of the MCDO, get the authority to say, Edison has elected these candidates in their Democratic primary, 3 of them, okay? I'm going to put them on the county line to be bracketed with all the other Democrats who are running for office in this county. Where does it get the authority to do that? Is it a matter of past practice, or is there something obligating him to do that, either statutory or a case law?
There's nothing obligating him to. He could decide to put no one on the line. He could decide to put the EDO endorsed candidates on the line, or he could decide to put different candidates on the line. That is solely in the province of the chair, as set forth in the Constitution, the bylaws, and as set forth in the various cases and statutes.
Okay, so in the MCDO, I didn't see it in their Constitution. Can you point to where it says that he's entitled to involve himself to that level?
Well, he's not involving himself, Judge. He is the power of the organization. He was elected chair of that organization.
Of the MCDO?
Of the MCDO. So he determines who is going to use the MCDO slogan.
Okay, all right.
And the only time he doesn't have that power is when the committee itself has been empowered, pursuant to the Constitution, to select state senate, state assembly, county commissioners and county constitutional officers, and U.S. House of Representatives. The balance is authority vested in the chair to make the decision as to what is best for the party, for the county candidates that are running. What is the best? If
Right.
the best is to have nobody running with them, then that's the decision he'll make. If the best is to have local endorsed candidates run, then that's what he'll do. If the decision is to put different candidates, then that's what he'll do. But it is a discretionary issue for the chair, as vested in the powers in him through the bylaws and the Constitution.
So you're suggesting that that language in the Constitution that says he has the power to decide who is best to run with the county candidates, that's where his authority to say, no, we're not accepting Edison's
Yes, Your Honor.
candidates?
Because the idea, and it's in 49.2, the whole purpose for the use of the consent is to have the decision made as to who best represents the party's interest in this election. And if the decision is made that they want to bracket with this group or that group, that is the decision to be made. And again, that's assuming, Your Honor, and I know you're past this argument, trying to just understand the fundamentals of it, but that assumes that the court is going to get involved in intra-party disputes, which is what this is. This is Mr. Kentos saying, I'm a committee man, I get to dictate, because I got a vote from EDO, I get to dictate that I will be on the line going forward. And I would submit to you that under Deemer, U versus San Francisco, and the courts have said that courts should stay out of that argument in its entirety.
Let me ask you this, Mr. Norquist, if you don't mind. You have a copy of the bylaws in front of you?
Somewhere I do, yes, Your
Okay.
Honor.
I'm going to take you through the bylaws first. I want you to take me through the bylaws first. Because I want to be right on point with regards to where the language is in these bylaws.
If you guys have my brief in front of you, it would be 3 and 4, I believe, exhibits.
I've got it, Your Honor. If you start at the bylaws, Your Honor, page 2, Article 4, 5A, the county chair shall be the chief executive of Middlesex County Democratic Organization, have general charge and supervision over responsibility for business and affairs of the organization. All other officers shall be subject to the authority and supervision of the county chair.
Okay, so you're suggesting that line, that person shall have general charge and supervision over and responsibility for the business and affairs of the organization? And within that includes the ability to decide who runs with county candidates and who doesn't?
Yes, Your Honor. Well, it's that resides, there's two issues here, Your Honor. There is the slogan, and that is clearly in the, the charge of the business affairs.
Right.
The slogan is controlled by the county chairman. The bracketing is controlled by the campaign chairman for the county bracketed candidates. In this case, in the case that Mr. Kentos complains of, Mr. McCabe was the campaign chairman, and he says, okay, these candidates will and these candidates will not bracket. But the ability to use the MCDO slogan, which is really the bottom line here, rises from Article 4, Section 5 of the bylaws.
All right, gentlemen, I'm asking these questions because from what I've read, for years, apparently, I'm assuming even preceding Chairman McCabe, Chairman of the County Committee, of the County Democratic Committee, have seemingly always accepted for bracketing on the county line candidates elected for office to the local Democratic organization. So include them once they get elected by way of the primary. Though there's nothing that I've read that says you have to include them. The pattern has always been, the practice has always been, Edison, you've elected these 4 people as Democrats, or these 3 as Democrats to a primary, we're gonna put you on the county line. And now, for the reasons, I think for the reasons associated with what happened in 2017, Chairman McCabe doesn't seem to want to do that. Probably even more importantly, because of what the present mayor, the current mayor of Edison, opted to do, not to acknowledge, not to accept these candidates. He probably had that conversation that Mr. Kentos said he told me he was going to have with the county chairman to make sure that other people were bracketed, that these, Mr. Kentos and his colleagues, weren't going to receive the county line, or won't be on the county line. And so I'm trying to make my way through that, one, to see what authority there exists for a chairman of the county committee to even do that to begin with. What authority exists of a county chairman to endorse other people? Because there's nothing in the bylaws or the Constitution that says that the county chairman, on behalf of the county Democratic organization, can endorse anyone else. And so what does there exist for the county chairman to say, I'm not going to respect the vote of the Edison Democratic organization. I'm not going to embrace these people on our county line or allow them to use their slogan. That's why I asked the question, and I wanted to take us to the bylaws, because I'm looking for something in writing that says I can go one way or another, or some direction. Because as far as I can see so far, correct me if I'm wrong, this honestly seems to be a discretionary call made by the county chairman as to who gets bracketed and who doesn't. And if that's been the case for however many, 40 years, for example, that the county chairman has done that, why is it now stopping? Why is it stopped? And part B, what actually gives the county chairman the right or the authority to put other people on the county bracket as candidates for Edison Council that are different from those who the Edison Democratic organization have elected in their primaries? That's kind of where my mind is at. That's why I'd like to focus in on. So who wants to?
If I may?
That's, Your Honor, just if I could.
Yeah.
First of all, the language I cited to you, the chairman is charged with protecting the party, protecting what is best for the party. He exercises his discretion as to what he thinks is best. Mr. Kentos complains that he's in limbo, he has no recourse. He has ample recourse. He can run for chairman himself, he can try to elect different people, he can move for an amendment to the bylaws. I'd ask you not to guffaw, sir, because we are in a court of law. There's a variety of things he can do, but for so long as the chairman is the chairman, then he gets to make the call, except for where the Constitution says he doesn't. The second point, and again, we have to parse slogan and bracket. The slogan is I don't think there's any question, is in the chairman's discretion because it puts him in charge of the...
I'm going to accept for purposes of argument that the slogan is the chairman has a proprietary interest in, or control over, ownership interest, for lack of a better say, on behalf of the county Democratic organization.
Right.
It's something that the county arguably has come up with for county use.
Then let me address bracket, Your Honor.
Okay.
Because the chairman is the chairman for the countywide candidates. The countywide candidates
Right.
talk through their chairman and they say, this is who we want to run with, this is not who we want to run with. So the countywide candidates have the option not to appear, not have their names linked on a ballot up and down with people they don't approve of.
What if the county chairman says, listen, it's in the best interest of our organization, despite what you're feeling, that these people who you don't want to run with you, because it's going to empower us overall as a county group?
Then the county candidates get to say, no, we're not going to accept that. We're not going to, let me use an absurd example, and certainly this is no reflection on this gentleman. I just want to make the point. There's, the neo-Nazi group gets endorsed by EDO. And the county chairman says, I'm not going to give them the NCDO slogan. Countywide candidates, how do you feel about that? The countywide candidates can say, you know what, we love neo-Nazis. Let us run with them. And that could be the result. And the chairman, the campaign chairman, not the MCDO chairman, the campaign chairman would be directed by his candidates what he's supposed to do.
Okay.
And so that's where you get the bracket and the slogans. The chairman, the county chairman, MCDO chairman gets to call who uses the slogan. The bracketing belongs with the candidates, and they speak through their chairman.
I didn't read anything in here about Chairman McCabe, who also serving as campaign manager for the county. Anything that he had any conversations with any
I can get
candidates?
you a certification, Judge. The letter he sent to the clerk in an official capacity says, I am the campaign chairman.
Right.
If the court wants a certification, I'll be happy to provide it.
No, that he had any conversation with the county candidates to say, listen.
That's what I'm saying. I'll get a certification from the county candidate saying, we authorize the chairman to do this.
Okay. Let me go to Mr. Kentos, I'll come back.
Okay.
Is there anything you want to say?
Yeah, I just want to get back to the law, but I'll let you deal with this issue. But just, it's the idea, Judge, that Mr. Kentos or any other committee member can come into court and say, you should give us this bracket, you should let us use this slogan, is impermissible. It is, the case is, Deemer is clear, U versus San Francisco is clear that that's not allowed. It's one thing if it has some state impact. If it was going to keep Mr. Kentos off the ballot, absolutely. Absolutely, we'd have a right to get into this courtroom and say, my rights are being violated, I need to be able to run on the ballot. He does not have a right to run as an MCDO endorsed candidate. He does not have a right to bracket with countywide candidates. Those two things are solely in the province of the organization and of the candidates. And that is what the various cases, Deemer and you being the leading ones, say that the court should stay away from. So that whole idea that we should even be litigating this is, I think, is an already answered question. And that's the main point I want to make here.
Well, Mr. Northbury, wouldn't it hurt any of the candidates who won the EDO primary for the MCDO through the chairman and campaign manager to say, we're not acknowledging you, we're picking 3 other people to run on our bracket, and have the voters see those 3 people as the Democrats endorsed by the MCDO, when EDO had their own set of Democrats that they wanted to run for those seats.
But that's the point, Your Honor. There's still, and the court's using the word primary. It's not a primary, it's a petition process. Everyone appears on the primary ballot. It's just whether they get to appear with I think in the last election, and that election was, I don't want to guess it, I don't remember who the countywide candidates were, but they don't get to run. EDO doesn't say to the county commissioners, to the legislative candidates, there was no House of Representatives candidate this cycle, in that cycle, nor will there ever be. But they don't get to say to them, you have to run with us. The county organization, on behalf of the countywide organization, to avoid a variety of issues, gets to say, no, we're not going to run with these people, we want to run with these people. We'll certainly take it under advisement as to what the EDO has suggested we do, but it is nothing more than a suggestion. It's nothing that compels the county to accept that endorsement.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Ron.
Mr. Kentos, let me go back to you. So your primary is next June?
The primary is next June, the candidate selection will be in March or February, where so
Right now, what you want was what, a petition process to be a primary candidate, or?
I want, so just stepping back for a second, what's more important to me than getting on the party line on the ballot is the official Democratic endorsement. His arguments all fall apart when you start, don't call this the MCDO or the EDO, it's when the three candidates that, and this is stated in my brief and in the four corners of my complaint, so I'm not giving testimony. The two candidates I was replaced with claimed official Democratic Party endorsement as if they were endorsed by the governing body. We're the governing body, and I disagree that these are three distinct committees. We're forced to have the county committee members as our members. So how can they be distinct? In other words, the EDO can't go out and say, hey, okay, we're a committee of 156 people. We're not going to use the 156 county committee people. We're going to go get our own people from the community. We can't do that. We're bound to the same governing body, a subset of their governing body. They're giving the official Democratic Party endorsement. And Your Honor, you touched on it. If I'm the official Democratic, if I get the official Democratic endorsement and Kevin McCabe gives the official Democratic endorsement for the same office, same seat to somebody else, who gets the endorsement? Forget about the ballot for a minute. I would, personal knowledge, because I'm the plaintiff, but I said this in my brief, I'm up against an uphill battle here because I'm the officially endorsed candidate by the governing body of the Democratic Party in Middlesex County. And these guys were just put on the line.
You're the candidate of the Edison Democratic Organization. They're the governing body of the Edison Democratic Organization.
Which is the
That's
subset of the county body. It can't be anybody else.
Well, your Edison's bylaws, just like MCDO's bylaws, say that you can have your own set of bylaws, you can have your own constitution, you can operate your own way. We're, aside from just having Democratic organization at the end of the title, whether it be Edison or Middlesex County, how is Edison bound to Middlesex County?
Because of NJSA, because of the statutes, 1952 and 1953. We're stuck with the same governing body. To give you a hypothetical.
Are you saying that if Chairman McCabe, on behalf of the Middlesex County Democratic Party, Democratic Organization, says X, Y, and Z, that Edison Democratic Organization is bound to comply with X, Y, and Z?
No, because
Hypothetically speaking, whatever X, Y, and Z may be?
no. But here's the issue. So if
No.
right, but the way
You're saying that EDO is bound by MCDO. Okay. My reading indicates that they're not. They're separate entities. They have separate responsibilities. That's why originally my question was, why is the chairman and the campaign manager of MCDO even being involved with what happens at a municipal election?
because they're how we get on the ballot. They're how we get on the party line.
Right.
We
So-
operate through them.
But you get on the party line, you get on their ballot by statute, by case law, or by past pattern and practice?
By past pattern and practice, and the
So that means
official endorsement has always been a package.
Well, but that means it's discretionary. And while it's never been exercised in any other way other than we're going to include these folks on the ballot, on the line,
But
It seems we're now at a crossroads where after 40 years of just accepting, now for whatever reason, Chairman McCabe is not accepting what the primary result. Well, I shouldn't say primary results, I'd say the petition results, because we're still early in the process.
by virtue of the committees, though, you have the county committee and you have the municipal committee. The county committee has never held a municipal candidate selection, and if they did,
Right,
Your Honor,
they don't.
and I represent to this court that if the county held a municipal candidate selection, it would be the 156 people geographically located in Edison that are voting on those candidates. The state legislator, the intent was to have a county committee and then have the municipal committees, the subset thereof, handle those functions, which are endorsing local
Right.
candidates.
And everybody's spelled out what those functions are by the bylaws and the Constitution, where they handle them separately. And somehow, somebody forgot to include that in the writings, but I haven't seen it, that whatever the municipality decides, the county is going to embrace it, is going to accept it.
But
Nobody's, not unlike the way where MCDO spells out that whoever wins the primaries for these particular offices is going to get the endorsement, no questions asked. So even if Chairman McCabe or whoever the chairman is going to be doesn't like any of these candidates who win the primary, he or she's going to be stuck with them because the bylaw says you're stuck with them. There's nothing to reflect that that's the same method of operation with regards to municipal candidates. So that's what I'm trying to wrap my mind around.
that's because that's the way the state legislators set up the committees. They set up a state committee for party governance, county committees for party governance, and municipal committees for party governance.
Totally understand.
And we are bound to those people there. So back to my quick hypothetical, if the county were to hold a municipal candidate selection, it would kind of be circular redundant because you'd get the same result.
No, they couldn't hold it. I'd be telling you right now that whatever their results would be invalid because they don't have the authority to do that. Not by their own
I'm saying
constitution, not by
hypothetically.
their own bylaws. Well,
I'm sorry.
I can't accept fake hypotheticals. I don't say fake hypotheticals. But
It's okay.
all right.
I
According to
understand.
these two documents, and I'm holding up the Constitution and the bylaws of MCDO, they've limited themselves to handling county business.
Correct.
And candidates for state office, assembly, senate, whatever, okay? They say nothing in here about municipal. So I'm looking at it and I'm saying, again, going back to my original thought, where's the authority for the county chairman or county campaign manager to say, we're not including these people? As well as, where's the authority to say, we are going to include these people, or we have to include these people, because our local democratic organization in our county selected them.
In that respect, Your Honor, I would agree with you, but I don't agree with them on the endorsement part. You now have multiple people claiming official party endorsement from the Democratic Party, which causes a real problem.
So in this petition process, as you head towards the Edison Democratic primaries next year, are there other candidates, aside from the four who won the petition process, Edison Democratic Organization, are there anyone else? Is there anyone else who's running as a candidate for these council seats who are saying they're being endorsed by the Middlesex County Democratic Organization?
Not at this point. They wait to the last minute. They wait till after our petitions are submitted, then they say, okay, you guys are out, these guys are in. So there's no way for
How
me
can
to.
that happen?
So this goes back to.
How can that happen?
This goes back to, real quick, under 1949-2, the balloting. This goes back to it. In other words, there's nothing in the county bylaws for me to go say, okay, can I get your endorsement because I'm going to run in the EDO, and if they select me, I want to be on your line. There's nothing there except the established practice. I agree with that.
Practice is the chairman
But-
accepts it just to get everybody on the same
But-
line.
But wholeheartedly, what I don't agree with is, putting aside the ballot for a moment, is if the official municipal political party committee, the governing body for the Democratic Party for local candidates, gives them the official party endorsement in Edison Township, I don't believe any other person who gets endorsed can claim that official endorsement. If Chairman McCabe says, hey, these guys are now allowed on the line, they shouldn't be putting a sign out on their front lawn that says we're the officially endorsed Democratic candidates. I mean, that's the problem I have. And then that's where I go back in my brief and say, well, Your Honor, my position is firmly endorsement is a package. If you get the endorsement, you wind up on the party line.
Can I make two
Yes, sir.
points, Ron? Just
Yes.
two things. Just, I understand what Mr. Kentos would like the law to be. The law is clear. I cited one tempo, 64 NJ Super 51 at page 64. 1952, which governs county, and 1953, which governs municipal, quote, discloses that the two organizations are statutorily separate and distinct entities rather than being one part of the other. It is true that municipal committeemen are members of the county organization, but each body has its own particular sphere of activity, and each has its own bylaws and constitution under and through which their respective functions are carried out. The Deemer case talks about when those statutes were originally set up, and says that they reflect a legislative intent to, and I'm quoting here, to provide but the rudimentary framework by which county committees should operate. We see no intention to create a pervasive regulation of inter-party operation and procedures as plaintiffs contend. I submit to you that's exactly what we have here. Mr. Kentos would like to say, this is the way the county organization should run. The bylaws do not specifically allow Mr. McCabe to say, I'm not going to allow the slogan to be used, and so therefore it must be asking you to get involved in the middle of this dispute, despite the fact that there's no support statutorily, bylaws, constitution, or otherwise. Further, there is a statute that says that the candidates get to choose who they're going to run with, and they chose not to run with Mr. Kentos. And Judge,
1 second, Mr. Norton.
Sure.
In addition to that, though, the county candidates can choose who they're not going to run with, but they can't arbitrarily choose who they're going to run with as city council candidate for that.
they can,
right?
they can,
You say they can.
they can. Under the statute, they can.
How do they give away official party endorsement?
They don't, sir.
In Bon
Okay,
Tempo,
so-
it's
so
distinguishable.
Personal. So it'd be a personal endorsement. I'm Pedro Jimenez, I'm running for county freeholder, I'm a Democrat. They see my name on the county line, right? But I go out there and I advocate for you, who's running for Edison City Council. You haven't gotten you're running independently because you don't have the Edison Democratic Organization endorsement. Everybody probably knows you're a Democrat because everybody knows who everybody is in the town. And me, as a candidate running for office at the county level, I'm saying, I like North Grave, he's good people, he's running with, I want to endorse his candidacy for county council.
Judge, so you
That
have,
doesn't mean that MCDO's endorsement of me is then passed on to you, right?
but it can be. And again, we have MCDO slogan and the bracket. So you have three candidates, Jones, Smith, and Walensky. And they decide amongst themselves that we want to run with Brown, White, and King. We don't want to run with Kentos, Shmuel, and Patel. They get to say, here's who we're going to allow to bracket with us. We are the countywide candidates. Mr. McCabe, we would like to use, for our bracket, we'd like to use the slogan, Middlesex County Democratic Organization. Do you deign to allow us to use that, sir? And actually, in that case, he doesn't even have to deign to allow them to use it. They get it because they won that at the county convention. So, and again, we're not talking about a primary, we're talking about a convention where the endorsed candidates, all the candidates are on the ballot. All the Democrats are on the ballot in June, and any Democrat that wins a primary gets the county endorsement come November. But that is the distinction. That's where the candidates get to choose who they want to run with, and the chairman gets to choose who he's going to allow to use the slogan if they are not bracketed with the, if they are bracketed with the countywide candidates.
Does that suggest, Mr. Norgrave, that if Mr. Kentos wins the primary next June, that the county's going to give him the line and
He's got it, that's what the bylaws say. He wins the primary, then he doesn't run as part of the Middlesex County Democratic Organization, he runs on the Democratic line. We're talking about a primary, we're talking about who gets to be endorsed by the party in the primary election. Mr. Kentos, sir, please.
Okay.
Mr. Kentos got the endorsement of EDO, he could have run on the ticket that said endorsed by the Edison Democratic Organization, And the other candidates would say, we've been endorsed by the Middlesex County Democratic Organization. That's all there is to it.
Respectfully, Your
Can you
Honor.
amend the authority for the candidates to be able to make that decision?
It's, I'm sorry, Judge, it's either 49-2 or, if you could, I'll find it,
Yeah,
Judge.
that's fine. Kentos?
Respectfully, he keeps calling it the MCDO endorsement for the primary. It's not the MCDO endorsement. These candidates that Kevin McCabe selected, along with me, we all claimed official party endorsement. I'm not even getting to the ballot yet. I mean, getting to the consent slogan or the bracketing. Forget about those for a minute. I'm talking about the official party endorsement, the official governing body of the Democratic Party. And the state bylaws adopted the Title 19 statute.
Yeah, but Mr. Kentos, what you're trying to convince me of is that simply because you all have Democratic organization, that last part of your name, that you're all the same entity, so that if Edison Democratic Organization selects candidates, that you're speaking for MCDO and the state, and the SDO, the State Democratic Organization, as this is what they're going to have to accept. And I'm trying to find in MCDO's or Edison's bylaws or any case or anything that says that that's appropriate, that they're entitled to do that MCDO has to accept it. MCDO has limited itself, pending the statute that you're going to be, Mr. Parker, has limited itself to guaranteeing the endorsement to whoever wins the primaries for these 5 offices that they have listed in their bylaws. They make no mention of anybody other than these 5 offices, no mention of any council candidates. So we're left with, as he indicated in a letter that's undated, that that he's going to use his discretion to award MCDO designation to all other candidates throughout the county endorsed by the local Democratic organizations. That seems to be a discretionary call. And my question is it? And only a discretionary call? Or is that something that's supported by case law statute, or even bylaws, which I don't think there is? Because then the effect is this. In this situation, what we have here, he's using, Chairman McCabe is using his authority as campaign manager and chairman of MCDO to nullify a vote taken by the Edison Democratic Organization that used to, for years, decades probably, get onto the county line, no questions asked. And now he's not doing it because, for whatever reason, he doesn't like the candidates they selected. Or the mayor doesn't like the candidates that were selected, and he's trying to usurp the electoral process by getting the county chairman to not get these people in line.
Correct.
And while that's not past practice, why that may pose a problem for how Edison Democratic Organization conducts its elections and whether they should conduct elections at all.
Your Honor, if I may,
It
one last
usurps
argument.
the local electoral process. And so how does he get to do that? Other than he can, because he's always done that.
If I can make one last argument, it's just that you have to look at the governing bodies for each of, there's a state governing body for the Democratic Party, there's a county governing body, and there's a municipal governing body. And that governing body for municipal took a vote. Participatory democracy, these people are elected by the people, and the governing body said, you're the official Democratic endorsed person. I don't think a chairman...
From the locals.
From the
They
locals.
didn't speak for the county.
Right.
There's nothing to indicate that they speak for the county.
Right, but what I'm saying is the county, forgetting about the bracketing for a minute, the county can't, the official county party can't officially endorse a municipal candidate. There's
Right.
there's nothing between the state statutes or a county committee or municipal committee, and I submit to this court, just one last thing, I've searched for where a county committee ever held a municipal candidate selection. I can't find one back to the 1900s.
Which is also part of my point. Where does the campaign manager, chairman, or even the county candidates get the authority to say, these are the people we want running for us. They're only running for Edison City Council, but we want them running with us. And us using the county banner is going to get splashed on them, so that anybody who sees the ballot is going to see, oh, these people are associated with the county Democratic Organization. So we're going to have to vote because we're voting line. Kind of usurping what Edison Democratic Organization is trying to do. simply because the mayor doesn't like who the candidates run. That, I think, is kind of an issue, and I'm trying to figure out what allows me to do that, other than they've always done it.
If I could
Yes, sir.
address it, Your Honor. The statute is 1949-2, and I'll read it in
Sure.
in
Thank
full. A candidate may request that his or her name be placed on the same line of the voting machine. So let me plug in, Mr. Kentos could request that his or her name, his name be placed on the same line of the voting machine with the candidates who have filed a joint petition with the county clerk as aforesaid by notifying the county clerk of said county in writing within 2 days after the last day for filing nominating petitions. I will assume Mr. Kentos did that. He notified the county clerk, I want to run. And thereupon, the county clerk shall forthwith notify the campaign manager of such candidates, the countywide candidates, filing a joint petition as aforesaid of such request, and if the said campaign manager shall file his consent in writing with the said county clerk within 2 days after receipt of said notification from said county clerk, the clerk of said county shall place the name of such candidate on the same line of the voting machine. So in other words, Mr. Kentos asks to be bracketed with, and I'm just going to use because they're the ones that come to mind, Sheriff Scott and Commissioner Tamaro. I want to be bracketed with them. Scott and Tamaro tell their campaign manager, we don't want to bracket with Kentos. We don't agree with his position on XYZ. We want to bracket with Northgrave because we agree with his position on XYZ. I know what the Edison EDO said. I got their recommendation. I'm not accepting their recommendation. There's nothing says I have to accept their recommendation. And by the way, we're going to ask Chairman McCabe to allow the slogan to be used as well. And so that's how you get the bracket and the slogan together on a ballot, and that's what gives the authority to do that.
Mr. Northgrave, the only words I heard when you read that to me was the word countywide candidates. How does that statute apply to municipal candidates? Is there anything?
No, it talks about, it's talking about all, it's talking about candidates up down the ballot, Judge.
All of it?
Yes.
Okay.
May request that a candidate may request that his or her name be placed on the same line of the voting machine with the candidates who have filed a joint petition. So the county candidates, again, they're the hub.
Okay.
These folks said, whether it's Mr. Kentos from the bottom, Senator Booker from the top, say, we want to appear with Tamaro and Scott, and we want our names to be placed together on the primary ballot. Kentos can still run. Kentos will be on the ballot. He has submitted his petitions. So assuming he has sufficient petitions, he is on the ballot, and he runs. He gets to run against Northgrave, who Tamaro and Scott have said, we want to run with, and McCabe says, I'm going to let Northgrave use the MCDO slogan. So that's how you get where you're going. And again, I know the court doesn't want to get hung up on procedural, but we don't even need to get there. The law is real clear. It's an inter-party dispute, and the court should not have been dragged into the middle of this.
So I'd have to be giving that statute some real liberal construction and meaning, and giving an all-encompassing meaning, where it applies to all candidates.
I don't think so, Judge. The statute is real clear as to what it's talking about. That's why you have the mention in the MCDO Constitution about the legislative candidates and the House of Representatives. They're not countywide candidates. They do not run countywide. They run in portions of the county.
Right.
But we're gonna accept the vote of the committee that is in those districts to tell us who we're gonna offer the slogan to, and who's gonna get endorsed, and then any other candidates that want to run, whether it is President Biden, Senator Booker, or intended to be Councilman Kentos, get to ask, can I run with you guys? And they say, sure, we'd love to. No, we don't want to. We don't agree. I think the better example would perhaps be on the Republican side right now. People will ask, who wants to run with President Trump? Who wants to run with Ambassador Haley? Some people will say, I don't want my name appearing with him. I don't want my name appearing with her. Candidates get to make that choice, and that's what the statute says. And that's the clear intent of the statute. I suggest, Your Honor, it's not a liberal reading of the statute. It's a literal reading of the statute.
Your Honor, that statute applies to everybody. Those statutes do not give the county chairman any more authority than he has in his bylaws. So it's kind of like the tail wagging the dog, so to speak. They're saying that they chose to associate with the official Democratic Party of the state, the NJDSC. They're the only political organization in Middlesex County that's the official party candidate. In other words, he just gave an example and said, these candidates want to run with me, Mr. Northgrave. So now Mr. Northgrave gets to claim the official party endorsement when the governing body in that section didn't vote for him? How's that possible? That's the problem I have, regardless of the consent statutes. In other words, we all chose to, these political party committees, there can only be one. There can only be one committee in Edison, there can only be one committee in the county, and they give out the official party endorsement in their sphere of their business. So if Chairman McCabe says, well, I'm going to withhold Mr. Kentos from the line, but not only do that, I'm going to put him on the line, and then we're going to advertise that they're the officially endorsed candidates, is wrong.
Has this situation occurred in any other municipality in Middlesex County?
No.
Your Honor, I haven't researched. Mr. Kentos could speak with authority. I will not stand before the court to try to speak with authority.
So nobody can tell me if this is the only time a municipal democratic organization has completed a petition process where they've come up with 3 candidates who are going to receive the municipal endorsement for the primaries coming up. And the county has not accepted who they've come up with.
I can't tell you in Middlesex County, Your Honor. I can tell you that I have appeared as either counsel or special counsel to a number of county organizations across the state. Some of them have 0 candidates at all that get voted on. It's entirely in the chair's discretion. In Middlesex, some of that discretion is taken away as to countywide candidates, legislative and House of Representatives. Otherwise, the chairman has the discretion, and he exercises. I won't tell you he exercises it by fiat. I know how he exercises it, but that's not really for this court. But he exercises his discretion, and he's allowed to do so under his bylaws. And I can tell you in no way it would happen, but that doesn't have to be that way. There's nothing in state statute that requires any type of process to figure out who is going to be the endorsed candidate. That decision is made when the county committee says we want so-and-so as chairman and we reject so-and-so. That's the power of the chair, and that's what DEMA recognizes, that it's a rudimentary setup, and you allow the party to run itself. And there's different ways of running it throughout the state of New Jersey.
Your Honor, I can represent to the court. I've been researching this for like 6 months, been to the Rutgers Law Library. I haven't found a case where a municipal candidate was in this situation before. I can't find one. But I will agree with Mr. Northgate. There are other municipalities, there's a handful of them throughout the state, where their bylaws say the municipal chair is just going to make the decision. But it's strictly in their bylaws.
Gentlemen, give me a moment. I want to take a look at something. I'll be right back up.
Thank you.
All right. Back on the record. Gentlemen, anything else that you want to add?
Yeah, just if the court was looking for some guidance, I know this is not exactly on point. However, if their candidate or any candidate that won the election died, unfortunately, the municipal committee would be the one selecting the replacement. So there's some guidance there. Municipal law says that the political party committee, so if the person who died was a Republican, the Republican committee, municipal committee would select them. If it was a Democrat, the EDO would select them. And that's by statute, that's a municipal.
By committee vote or choice of the chairperson?
committee, by committee vote, not choice of the chairperson, by committee vote. So just for some guidance there, I argued it in my brief on page 7, but I just wanted to point that out to you, that, you know, if you...
I remember that because I actually lived through that one time as a younger guy, exposed to it, so I know that exists. Well, I appreciate you telling me. So, anything for you, Mr. Northcliffe, or you're okay?
No, I'm fine, Your Honor, thank you.
Mr. Kentos, this is a case where you have a petition to be on the primary ballot for Edison when they do their primary next year. Arguably endorsed by the Edison Democratic Organization, you and your comrades. But that arguably doesn't preclude others from getting their own petitions signed to run for the same office that you're running for. Arguably, they can't do it as a Democrat because you have, the Democratic primaries and Democratic primary. Republican can't vote in the Democratic primary, vice versa. Independents can't vote in party primaries; they have to be affiliated. But it comes down to the actual election. And on the issue of the election, the statute is pretty clear that in that 1949-2, you can get on the ballot. If you have enough petitions to get on the ballot as a candidate. And if you make a request to the county clerk or even the municipal clerk, you can get lined up and joined in with, if you're a municipal candidate, with a county candidate, if the county campaign manager approves of it. Seemingly, despite the fact that you aren't a candidate who the local Democratic organization has endorsed. The problem that I have here is that there's nothing in the MCDO, aside from a reading of this statute and an expansive view of the language. I'm sorry. In the bylaws, that the county chair, serving as the chief executive of the county Democratic organization, shall have general charge and supervision over and responsibility for the business and the affairs of the organization, which seems to include how the candidates are lined up, and whether or not they get a county line. I'm sorry, a county slogan attached to the line. All things having to do with county elections. There's nothing in the Constitution or the bylaws of the county organization that empower the county chairman and county campaign manager to have anything to do with municipal elections. That is, to deny someone candidacy to run, to accept someone's candidacy to run, and most certainly to accept them as a county endorsed candidate, or to deny them of that. That's something that's just been the result of a past pattern of practice for years. That has arguably and seemingly gone on without question to keep unity within the county organization to as they embrace the municipal organization, political organization. So the county embraces the municipal democratic organization for purposes of unity, really offering no position as county democratic chairman as to the legitimacy or viability or acceptability of candidates coming from local democratic organizations who win petitions in our primary. Except now, for the reasons indicated by Chairman McCabe concerning the issues that stemmed from 2017 despicable flyer sent to Edison, racist in nature, where certain people associated with the Democratic chairman, Mr. Baggio, is a Mr.
Yes, sure.
And anybody associated with Mr. Baggio. What is unclear is whether or not Mr. Kentos is associated with Mr. Baggio, because he, by his own verified complaint, has really not been in the election mix since until recently, 2022. And nobody's outed him as being anybody associated with Mr. Baggio, what is alleged to have occurred in 2017. But since Mr. Baggio apparently is still the Democratic chairman, it seems that any vote by that local Democratic organization, which Mr. Baggio is the Democratic chairman of, for candidates who win petitions to run in primaries are not favorably seen by the county Democratic chairman / campaign manager, such that they won't be the beneficiary of the past pattern and practice of giving them county endorsement or county support, whether it be on the line or use of the county slogan. Again, nothing to say that the chairman can do that or cannot do that. It's blank on that issue. The only thing is 1949-2, where if candidates who are on the primary ballot asked, they can be lined up with county candidates, get on the party line, use the party slogan, but that has to be with the consent of the campaign manager, if he accepts the request by the municipal candidate. Here we're at a position where we don't even know if that's going to happen yet. While it's alleged that the county chairman has overrode a decision of the Edison Democratic Organization concerning candidates for positions and has not supported them, that's the new pattern and practice of the county chairman / campaign manager with regards to anybody who's going to be elected for primary candidacy by the Edison Democratic Organization. But it's yet to be seen, because the primary is going to occur in 2024, the election in 2025, and I recognize, in this case, Mr. Kentos is concerned that he needs to be able to reach out to people and engage in soliciting people's support for his primary run, for his ultimate run as for one of the local county, for the local city council seats. He wants to be able to do that. He's certainly going to do that with the Edison Democratic Organization support. He arguably is not going to be able to do that right now with the county support, though there is some indication that per him that two other people or some other people are going to be allowed to do that with county support, despite the fact that they were not voted upon and supported by the local municipal democratic organization. Concern that I have is that the chairman, campaign manager, his actions kind of usurps or affects the process, validates the process engaged in by the Edison Democratic Organization. If they select people to run as their candidates and the county says no, we're going to be supporting different candidates who have filed the petitions to be able to be candidates and run as independents. Candidates who are running for county office do have that right as well, apparently under 1949-2, kind of nullifying what the local democratic organization tried to do in the vote that they took, presumably where those candidates as well who are alleged to be receiving or going to be receiving county support could have run could have petitioned for support and won it, but in this case didn't, because only Mr. Kentos and his two other comrades won that. It's quirky, there's issues with it. It's something that really different, but the bottom line is, there's nothing to indicate, despite the arguments of counsel, that the decision of the Edison Democratic Organization is controlling as to what the county Democratic Organization should be doing, or who they should accept, despite how it's been for the past 40 years. That was just a discretionary call by the county chairman, the campaign manager, wherever it had been at the time. Certainly far longer than Chairman McCabe, but it's something that he's decided to do at this point. And there's nothing for me to find that indicates that he can't do it, but the fact of the matter is, there's nothing to indicate to me that he can't. But in any event, just because a vote is taken by a local Democratic organization with regards to certain candidates as being their candidates who should be who are going to engage in a primary election for a general election office, there's nothing in their in the Edison bylaws or in the county bylaws or even in the statutes that indicate to me clearly that a local Democratic organization can force the county to do anything with regards to their candidates. There's nothing also to indicate that the chairman of the county Democratic organization or the campaign manager can do anything to, there's no authorization for them to endorse other people for municipal seats, contrary to what the local Democratic organization has voted upon. It's unclear. I understand the issues faced by you, Mr. Kentos. I don't think I have no basis to authorize relief for you. I don't think I can. There's nothing for me to indicate, case law, statute-wise, bylaws-wise, that the county has to give you the line, that they have to give you use of the slogan. The slogan is something that the county comes up with by way of county vote, committee vote. Really, the committeemen who serve as voters in the local Democratic organizations, same people who serve at the county, but they wear two different hats. When they vote at the local Democratic organization, they vote as local Democratic committeemen. When they vote at the county, they vote as county committeemen. And while they serve arguably two masters, the vote for them is usually the same, whatever's in the best interest of the Democratic Party. And but that doesn't mean that because they vote at the local Democratic organization primary or petition or convention process that they commit the county to supporting the results of that. I don't have anything to indicate that they do, except for the past pattern of practice engaged in by the county chairman, campaign manager, which he's decided to change at this point. Seemingly, I will admit, seemingly good reason to do that, but again, Mr. Kentos is not somebody who's been identified or associated with Mr. Baggio. At least it hasn't been presented to this court, so I can't even really determine whether or not Chairman McCain, campaign manager McCain, is actually doing this to you, Mr. Kentos, because he's associating with Mr. Baggio, or he isn't. I really don't know why, other than he's just doing it. And clearly, what I got from your paperwork is the present mayor doesn't like you and doesn't want you on the council because you won't vote for him. So the present mayor is using his influence, arguably, with the county chair, campaign manager McCabe, to make this happen, to keep you off from getting the county line, the support of the county, so that everybody during election time can see that you are not being endorsed by the county, despite the fact that really it's the municipality who's endorsing you. I guess that's just political maneuvering, but my decision has got to be based on something rock solid. The statute, even some bylaws, even some constitution that people have embraced as how they're going to operate. Nothing to indicate that I can grant you the relief. If anything, just and this statute is about getting on the ballot on voting machines. Where voting machines are going to be used. This 1949-2. You can get on the ballot with people who you want to be with if they accept you. And if they don't accept you, you don't get to be on the same line that they do. You don't get to use the same slogan that they use. That's just pretty clear. So I'm going to reserve my right to supplement my decision later if necessary, but again, there's nothing to indicate to me that you're entitled to get the county line or even the county slogan used in your campaign should you be elected as a result of the primary to run for the city council position in Edison as a Democrat. Again, because I nothing to indicate except for pattern of practice that the county chairman is entitled to even do that to begin with. So I'm going to deny your request for relief at this point. I'll enter an order reflecting the same. I think I've covered all the, have I missed any bases, gentlemen? I think I've tried to be as expansive as I can, but that's why I'm reserving my right.
I think you covered, Your Honor. Thank you.
If you could just address the official endorsement, that, you know, that was really my main concern. with all
Well,
this.
and that's another thing too.
If you want to reserve on it, Your Honor, in your opinion, that's fine.
I don't have, the county chairman, who at this point is also the campaign manager, and I'll refer to him as Mr. McCabe. So when I speak of Mr. McCabe, he's wearing both hats. There's nothing in his bylaws, in the county bylaws, to say that he should even be engaging in that. It doesn't mean then he's not entitled to. He's doing what's in the best interest of the organization. That's pretty clear. He gets to do what's in the best interest of the organization. Does that mean that he can put the county name behind a candidate who has not been supported by the local democratic organization by way of a petition process or convention or an election? I think it does. I think it does. Because there's nothing to prevent him from doing that. The only thing he's obligated under his own bylaws and the Constitution is if one of those people running for one of those offices contained in those bylaws, sheriff, senator, etc., freeholder, if they win the primary, they get the county line, they get the county slogan. That's it. He's not promised it, the county doesn't promise it to anyone else. Now, yeah, it's been routine that the local municipal officers get the support because they were elected by the local democratic organizations. Again, for decades. But there's been a change in the approach taken by Mr. McCabe on behalf of the county organization. For whatever reason, there's nothing for me to indicate that he can't do that, just like there's nothing for me to indicate that he can. He's just doing it because he feels it's best for the county organization. And judged from that perspective, he's entitled to do that. But that's the only thing. The wording of the bylaws is really the only thing that allows him to do that, because really neither one of you have indicated to me, and I haven't found it, any state statute, any case law that says that the county chairman can or cannot do this.
So just
Even though it's, even though, to be quite honest, according to what he presented by this letter that he wrote to the Edison Democratic County committee members, despite the fact that he's not going to give you the support, he will be giving the support seemingly automatic to any other municipality that elects Democratic nominees by way of a petition or primary process. And also, let's remember the fact still that I'm holding, what's also influencing my decision is maybe that it's not right for decision making, because you have yet to win the primary, to be the EDO primary candidate for the position. Chairman McCabe could change his mind from now until next year to decide to say, you know what, for example, Kentos, got to know him, did some, you know, we're going to give him the line because he's not really associated with that, with those bad things that occurred in 2017. He may make that decision. But that's only going to happen first if you win the primary ballot next year and are able then to move on. But you being able to advocate your candidacy right now to get the support of all the other committee men, people throughout Edison, to be quite honest, right now can only be based on the fact that you are you've won the petition process, the convention, and are supported the candidate of the Edison Democratic Organization. And really, that's all that can be done at this point, because really the county, really think about it, the county still gets to make the decision, and really should really only be making the decision, if they're going to make any decision, on people who have won primaries, not on people who won petitions, because that's where it really comes to, despite the fact that you like the extra bump to say that I'm not only am I supported by the county, by the Edison folks, I'm also supported by the county folks. You won the petition from the Edison folks to be the candidate listed for the primary. That's where we go from there. It may be a different story if you actually win. I'm not suggesting that you bring another complaint later if you do win, saying now you're entitled to it. My decision would still arguably be the same if you won the primary as the Democratic candidate for township council seat. Because again, even in that, you being positioned that way, there is nothing to indicate that Mr. McCabe is authorized to support you or not support you. It really is ultimately a discretionary call that he makes on behalf of the county Democratic organization under the bylaws that gives him that general authority to do what's in the best interest of the county. I know it's very vague. I know it might undermine the election process that Edison engages in. It might require that there be a change in somebody's bylaws to memorialize and enact this discretionary call that whoever wins the primaries gets the county support, just like they've identified for those other candidates in their constitution. But until that time happens, I think the case law and the statutes are silent. Mr. McCabe being able to exercise this kind of discretion. So I'm going to enter order simply denying your request for relief at this point. And I think I'll get it. You'll get it. If I do it today, you'll get it on equals today, if not tomorrow.
Very good, Your Honor. Thank you.
So thank you. I hope I've been clear enough. If I haven't, I apologize, but I'm just a little, honestly, I'm just really, it's a novel issue. Couldn't get any help from anybody with regards to how to decide this because it's brand new. But folks, there's got to be a change to make clear. This should not be a discretionary call. You know, for as great of a person Mr. McCabe may be, I don't know, I've never met him. For as great as any of those county chairpersons may be, you know, either we're supporting the electoral process or we're not. Either we're going to embrace it and accept it or we're not. The will of the people in Edison, as represented by the vote of the 156 committeemen who voted, arguably for you to be one of the people running the primary for council, that shouldn't be dismissed by a discretionary call by a county chairman. And I'm not suggesting, I'm not really trying to paint Mr. McCabe's decision-making as that. But if it's been embraced for 40 years, if that's par for the course, if that's how things have gone, you know, somebody should say, you know what, we're gonna make this where, we're gonna enact this. This is gonna be our standard operating procedure. We're gonna put this in writing so this is what people can expect. That if you run in a local municipal primary, and if you get it for a particular party, that you're gonna get the county support. I mean, that the will of the city of Edison, the people of Edison probably deserve that. Anybody, the will of it, the vote of any city resident should be that way. And, you know, well, fingers crossed. Hope springs eternal, but for now, I can't grant you the relief, Mr. Kentos, for the reason that.
I agree with you, Honor. Just for clarity, though, are we both allowed to claim official party endorsement?
Well, you can't because, well, you can from Edison, but you cannot from the county because that's Mr. McCabe's decision as county chairman and more importantly as campaign manager. And you're not sanctioned by the county Democratic organization to be able to have that. They have to be able to sanction it, and because it's their line, their slogan. They've come up with it. It's theirs. It's not Edison. They came up with it on their own. They didn't come up with it for Edison or Perth Amboy or Woodbridge or whatever. It's just the county, and so they're entitled to keep it that way.
Again, Your Honor, I accept your ruling. I'm just for clarity, if I say...
Judge, I object. He's asking for an advisory ruling on a separate issue, and
It's not a separate issue.
Excuse me, this is going to further complicate...
I can't give it. And
Thank
look,
you.
look, if Mr. McCabe as chairman and campaign manager during the election after the primaries, if he wants to say Mr. X is getting our support for the Edison City Council seat, or Mr. X can be on our line with our other county people who are running for office, and by, you know, I don't want to say guilt by association, but get the benefit of being associated with these county people who we've elected, who you know, so be it. That's his call. But again, 49-2 shows the process by which he can make that call. People just can't automatically say, even though I wasn't elected by the EDO, I'm going to run for Edison Township Council and get the county line, and I'm going to use it. No, they have to get permission to use it. But first they have to win the petition to be a valid person who can run for office, you know, arguably as an independent. So that has to be complied with as well. So you can't use it, nobody else can use it, not without county permission. Not without permission of the candidate. We are more specific, the candidate. So, and since Chairman Mr. McCabe has chosen not to endorse the EDO candidates, nobody's going to get it at this point. But he may change his mind because the primary election is next year. So, see what happens. For now, all you have is what you got from Edison. So, I want to thank you both very much because your respective submissions were fabulous. Easy read, I appreciate that. Easy to understand. It's a difficult topic, and you just made it easy for me, and I hope I've come up with a good enough decision that will survive. So,
Thank you.
thank you all.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you for your time.